All right, here we are with episode 3 of the Teachers Talking Hoops podcast. We are on a new platform. Shout out to Riverside.fm, replacing Zoom. In the moment, we will see if Riverside will continue to be our platform if we have to go back to Zoom, but Riverside looks like it allows us a bit more flexibility, so we'll give it a whirl and see how it goes. How we doing today, Adam?
We're good. We're doing pretty well. How are you doing? Fresh off the run this afternoon.
Fresh off the run, better because last night was a late run, and if we've got fishing after this, I'm taking Wiley
Okay.
fishing. So um, if I had not run this afternoon, it would have been another late run. So
I feel like you're always making me look bad running before the podcast. Might as well I don't do my exercise till later, and then everybody's probably like, "Wow, this Adam, he's pretty lazy here."
let's see. When are Oxford Cordias? Okay, that makes sense. All right, sorry, our listeners of the podcast, not our YouTube viewers, our listeners who might not know what's going on. Your video looked a little. My video looks really good, much better than Zoom. Yours looks a little foggy, but then in the box it says actual recording is higher quality. So for some reason, it must just be the guest person that gets brought in. It
Hmm.
looks fuzzy for some reason, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
afterwards. But if not, then we will go back to Zoom and get rid of Riverside FM. So, uh,
So it
all right.
works.
Cold open question of the week. I was on Dick. So for our listeners, we do have a couple of things in the works. Normally, the setup for the podcast happens a little bit last minute, but in the upcoming weeks, we're going to do a couple top 25 previews, break down our top 25, maybe look at a couple top 25s that are put out there by other people. We're going to start doing some conference previews, some individual team previews. I don't know if we'll do a bunch of individual team previews, but we'll do a Duke preview, a Duke
Yeah, yeah.
schedule
I was gonna.
preview.
There
We'll
we
do
go.
a Texas A&M one. Maybe we'll do a UNC one to see how many games we're going to lose.
UMass,
Yeah, we'll do a UMass one.
plus some hometown.
I saw
Oh,
there was on Twitter, there's a guy that UMass made his top five. He's picking, he's a 2024 recruit, and UMass was in his top five, along with Princeton and FAU. So he's picking
hmm.
between an Ivy
Too
League
much.
school,
Yeah,
a school that went to the Final
yeah.
Four, and UMass.
Then UMass.
But he's a 3-star recruit, and it made me. I was like, oh, I was looking at. I was like, this guy must be. I wonder if he's any good. And I saw his 3 stars, and I don't know if as a Duke fan, I'm just spoiled by the amount of 5-star
Oh,
recruits that
brother.
we get, and I'm like, 3 stars. Like that guy must be trash.
Oh
But
my God.
I guess we can't all be 5 stars.
My goodness. Give me a
Uh,
break.
but yeah, we'll do a UMass one. Um, Maybe as we approach close to the season, without getting yourself into too much trouble, you can give me a little breakdown of what the Elms college basketball season looks like.
Yeah, yeah, without getting into too much trouble. That'll be in a well, no, that can be on the record, but
We won't have you pick any games. We'll just have you tell us how who the tough opponents are going to be.
okay. All right, that sounds good.
Um, but so I was looking at Dick Vitale's top 25 preseason top 25, and he's got down at number 25 St. John's. So my cold open question of the week
Mm.
to you is, in 10 years after St. John's most likely makes the tournament this year, I think. In 10 years, will the St. John's tournament, achieving the tournament from this year, will it still be on record, or will the NCAA have wiped it away from some sort of Rick Pitino violation?
Wow. Okay, first I'm gonna start that off with a shout out to Dickie V because I love him as an announcer.
Hmm.
Secondly, why are you flaming? You're gaslighting Rick Pitino.
You see how many guys they got?
Yeah, I know.
Like,
Listen, the, everybody's like their tournament team, but the Big East is tough. So honestly, if they're a tournament team right now, they're a first four team. That's really it. I don't think they're going to win their conference. I mean, he's got a lot of work to do in year one. It was no mystery. Last year's team was miserable. I mean, they had attitude. They didn't listen. They didn't perform nearly as well. At least he got back Joel Soriano, but I think he's got to get his players under control. I mean, that's what Mikey Anderson didn't do first. So, but he was clean at Iona right now. That's what we know. So, I mean, if I base it off that right now, yes. But
I suppose yes, but is it hard to win at Iona?
well, I think it's hard to win it. It's hard to win at any Division One school you coach at because he was playing a harder schedule than no other Iona schedule would normally be.
I don't know. Something seems a little
Fishy?
iffy. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I don't know what goes on
John
behind the scenes.
Calipari.
I don't know. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. It wouldn't. Let's just say it wouldn't shock me.
Oh, Joe
If it-
Lenardi. Okay, Joe Lenardi wrote something about them here. Uh, it's nothing really all that. It's basically just that he's doing a good job. He has him. He has him as the last team in.
Yeah. Look at that, Lunardi and I, same brain here.
Who's the last four buys?
Listen, so many people in New York are thinking that St. John's is going to make a run at like the Elite Eight, and that's not the reality of it. They
All right,
just
so similar. You mentioned New York, so we'll get into our real conversation in a second. Another quick cold open question: over under
mm,
2 more years for Coach Boeheim at Syracuse.
he's done.
Is he done?
Yes,
Did
where
I
have you
know that?
been? Yeah, he's done.
Wait, did I know that?
So under. Yes, he retired at like the end of the ACC tournament.
Oh, that was like the one where he didn't actually retire.
Yeah,
but he
yeah.
did, where he was
Yeah,
like these guys all hate me, so I guess I'm just like not gonna
yeah,
coach
yeah.
here anymore.
That's the easiest open ended I'll get.
Yeah, his grumpy old man
I
thing.
loved him. Buddy
Who
Boeheim.
was the other guy that left like that? I think there's another guy that I'm thinking of. I just saw an article about Bob Huggins and how he's
Yeah.
trying to like come back
Come
and
back. Sorry,
um,
Bob. Yeah, I don't think you're ever coming back to
oh,
Morgantown.
it was Mike Bray. Where like Mike, they kept asking Mike Bray. They're like, "Oh, like, are you retiring? What are you doing?" He's like, I'm not coaching at Notre Dame next year."
Yeah.
And it was very much like, I still want to coach basketball, but they don't want me to coach here anymore, so I'm gonna leave.
Mm. And
I
does
like
Mike,
Mike Bray actually.
yeah, Mike Bray. I thought Mike Bray was a great coach, but I like Micah Shrewsbury there too. So
Wait,
I mean,
so
it's
who is coaching
I
Syracuse?
think it was one of the former players. It's Adrian Autry.
Oh, they needed
He's been the assistant coach for like 11 years.
maybe Carmelo could coach.
Oh God,
He's not doing anything.
Carmelo. Wow, you are really gaslighting people here today. Rick
He's
Pitino,
doing. Oh
Carmelo. Wow.
no. When was this? It was this. Yeah, no, it wasn't that one. What was it? There was some Syracuse game in the Big East tournament when I was in
Mm.
college. I forget who they're playing. But I keep getting mixed up with the 6 overtime game they had with UConn years ago. But this was during the day. This was like noon. It was like must have been like first round of the Big East tournament.
Yeah.
And it went to like double or like triple overtime.
Mhm.
And I had class. And
Yeah.
so the game, yes, it must have been 12, but I must have had like a 3 o'clock class or something like that. Or like a 2 o'clock class. And so I'm watching the game, and it goes into overtime, and I was like, I'm not going to class. I'm going to watch this game. And so, but I think it was like
Was
class
it?
at 2:30, and I was like, all right, like overtime, great. I'll watch the game. I'll go to class. And then I went to like double overtime, and I was like, I think I could still get to class. And I think it must have went to triple overtime, and I walked into class like 15 minutes late, which doesn't sound bad, but it was, like on some classes are 50 minutes and some classes are like
Yeah,
an
yeah.
hour. This was a 50-minute class. So
Yeah.
I walked in like 15 or 20 minutes late to the 50-minute class. I still went, but I was like, I have to watch this game.
What was it? I think it was Furman, Virginia this game, and I had class, and I was like, all right, maybe I'll go because Virginia was pulling away, but then Furman, I was like, you know what? Maybe I can still make it, and then it got down to where Kia Clark threw the ball away, and then I was like 15 minutes late, and I was like, no, never mind.
That's the game that kept me into like betting. Like I pretty much just bet during the NCAA tournament, and I bet like whenever the gambling sites give me free money, I bet with
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But I signed up, and so I got free money to bet in the NCAA tournament, and so I put money on the Furman Virginia game.
Yeah.
But I put money on it was like Virginia to be winning at half, Furman to win the game, and
Jeez.
Furman to win by less than 5 points or something like that. So I won $300 on that game.
Oh my God, that's
every possible
ridiculous.
thing that could have gone right happened in that game.
See, I feel like when it's those games when the bracketologists are like, oh, this is a Furman win, and they're so confident that I'm like, I don't know. And then Furman wins, and then I'm like,
Yeah, I wanted to like Virginia because I thought Virginia had been a better, not quite as good defensively, but still pretty good,
Yeah.
and not quite as bad offensively they have been.
Mm.
So I thought that they were balanced enough that they weren't as susceptible to
yeah.
kind of that big early loss. I'm still amazed that what was it? Who beat them when they were the 1 seed?
Oh, UMBC?
Yeah, I'm still amazed that that game was such a blowout.
Yeah.
I remember watching it and because normally you watch the 16-1 and I'd say probably half of them usually as you get close to halftime are within
Yeah.
5 or 10 points.
Yeah,
It's kind
yeah.
of close. And then it ends up being a 30-point game.
Mm-hmm.
But this was just you were watching Virginia's not going to win this game.
Yeah.
They're getting killed.
I remember I shut that off. UMBC was pulling ahead. It was 2, 4, 6, 8. I'm like, Virginia's not winning.
Yeah.
And I think I might have had Virginia to win that year, actually. And just crumbled up my bracket, threw it in the trash can, and
Just
that was
over
it.
Duke.
You know what? I've learned my lesson. I'm not voting Virginia past the first weekend anymore.
Yeah.
I love Tony Bennett, but you know what? I feel like he just gets the worst luck. You guys did not make it out of the first weekend either. So,
Yeah, there's a difference.
oh, that's different.
Just bad matchups.
Oh, okay. You mean Plavcic? That's the only name. Just Plavcic. That's the difference. You guys aren't physical. That's the difference.
Well, this year, the
Uh,
physicality has turned up a lot.
Okay. All right. We'll see. Mark Mitchell.
Well, Mark Mitchell didn't get to play in that game, or else things would have been different.
No. Don't even say that. Don't even say that.
These guys are all. Mark Mitchell had to get surgery. Jeremy Roach had to get surgery afterwards. Kyle Filipowski had to get new hips.
That's because of Plavcic, because he got knocked on the floor 3 times. You do realize that probably out of all the Power 5 conferences that the ACC was probably last in terms of strength of schedule and competition.
Well, it's because ACC was so bad.
Bad, yeah. You can say it, bad.
That's why Duke just has to win all their non-conference games, and then.
Okay, I can't wait for the Duke preview.
Well, speaking of Duke, this was going to be the cold open question, but this will be the bridge to our bigger discussion. Tell me how excited you are that we get to move up a year, Cooper Flagg becoming a Duke Blue Devil.
Okay, that's premature, because Cooper Flagg may go to UConn.
Cooper Flagg's not going to UConn.
It'd be
you know why Cooper
perfect.
Flagg's not going to UConn? Because I can't remember anymore.
He's not going to a tournament title team.
Danny Hurley, Bobby Hurley, Danny Hurley. Danny
Bobby.
Hurley's the only coach at UConn.
No,
Bobby Hurley.
no, Danny
Danny
Hurley.
coaches UConn.
Yes,
He's
yes.
an idiot.
I
I
love
can't
him. No, I
stand
love
Danny
him.
Hurley.
I love him.
Um,
Are you kidding me? I love him.
100% he's going to Duke.
It's Bobby who I can't stand.
Well, Bobby's fine. He was a Duke Blue Devil.
That's why you're biased.
But
You're
100% Cooper Flagg is going to Duke.
you're Duke biased.
His first official college visit, Duke.
That's for the press. That's for the press. Okay, do you realize how many offers he has? You know what? I'll go through them one by one right now. Bryant, no. Also, Bryant, something slimy's going on there because they had 50 kids commit. That is really slimy. Like that's crazy. Duke, all right. Georgia, no. Iowa, we'll keep them in there. Maine, I'm sorry, but no, it's not gonna happen. Michigan, I don't think so. Providence, I don't know who's Providence. Probably not, but Albany is definitely not gonna happen. UCLA, maybe. UConn, maybe. West Virginia, not anymore. So it's probably gonna come down to Duke, UCLA, or UConn. Probably.
100% he's going to Duke.
We'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if he went to UConn. You can throw Iowa as a fourth team.
Definitely
If
going to Duke.
if just say if Iowa got Cooper Flagg, he'd have like the key to the city. His first day of campus.
The tough part with what John Shire's trying to do now, and I guess this kind of bridges into what we're going to talk about on the podcast, but the Duke and John Shire, much more than Kay was doing, is trying to like recruit / get people to not everyone obviously, but some of these guys to stay a little bit longer, right? At least stay like your second year, and to try to kind of offset, lose as many people and stuff like that. And so I think someone like Cooper Flagg, it's probably a little bit easier to predict who's going to stay and go on UConn.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Duke, you mentioned Mark Mitchell. Like Mark Mitchell could try to go to the league, right? Like I don't know. I considered Mark, although he's not having great success. I loved Justice Winslow, and so at Duke, Justice Winslow, his freshman year. So
I thought you were going to say Marvin Bagley.
No. I consider Mark Mitchell to be kind of like a poor man's Justice Winslow. He doesn't.
But better.
He's not as explosive. He doesn't play defense quite as well. Like he's probably an NBA player, but he's not a star.
But like a Justice Winslow career right now.
Yes. But he's not someone like if he had come out this year after freshman year, he's probably not getting drafted.
Yeah, probably not. No.
And I don't know how much better he's gonna get. So you look at something like Jeremy Roach. Now it's a little bit harder for like guards. If you're 6 feet or under, you could be great, and you're probably just gonna stay all 4 years because you're probably just not gonna get drafted.
I think Jeremy Roach could have a place in the league. Maybe not right away, but I think it would take time.
You gotta build, right? Like we were talking about, like DJ Stewart, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well, if he gets that spot, yeah. But even if he doesn't, like he's still got notice to come and try out. Like it's not everybody's Kyle Filipowski and gets drafted the lottery. That's just the reality of it. But that doesn't mean that you're not a good player. You know?
Kyle Filipowski. I listened to a Kyle Filipowski interview yesterday.
How's that?
And he said that, and probably blowing smoke, but he said that he feels like, well, he said two interesting things. He said he feels like if he was at another school besides Duke, he probably wouldn't have come back. He probably would have went to the league. And he also said, what was the other thing that I found interesting? There's one other. Well, what was really interesting that he grew up not relevant to basketball, but he said he grew up next, like his neighbor had a farm, that had like rescue. It was like a rescue farm. So there was like zebras and a
Oh,
lion
really?
and a camel.
Wow.
So that was interesting. Oh, but he said, well, like I guess so. He had a 3.9 GPA.
Yeah.
He had the highest GPA on Duke's team.
Yeah.
He was saying also that he took he was taking social marketing classes and a like a finance class and stuff like that. Probably what most of those guys take to try to learn how to better put themselves out there. Like I remember Grayson Allen one time said that his favorite class at Duke was his
How to hurt somebody on the court?
it was
101?
like a speech class. Which at first I was like, oh, like bogus, like easy class, right? But then I was like, well, I guess that makes sense, right? If you're gonna go play a professional sport, you probably want to learn how to talk well and present yourself and everything.
And defend yourself when you get tossed. Yeah.
So, but education, I guess, to some degree, is important to Filipowski, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
is so I think the part that worries me about Filipowski is, I mean, very stereotypical. He's just kind of a tall white guy, and so when I see that, it reminds me kind of Matthew Hurt, and Matthew Hurt didn't end up like he left because he was like, I could come back to Duke for another year, but I just put up, I don't know, he probably put up like 16 and like 8 or something like that, and he's like, what better numbers am I gonna put up if I come back for a year? And so like with Filipowski, it's if he comes out this year and he puts up 18 and 8, right? And it's like, but he's not dominant putting up 18 and 8, and he's gonna go second round. Yeah, like it, because I feel like, are the scouts saying, all right, you're still good, but you didn't get any better from last year. So last year we were going to draft you 16th, but since you didn't get any better, we're going to draft you 29th. And is he like, whatever, I'm just going to stay at Duke then?
I think, well, first of all, Kyle Filipowski is better than Matthew Hurt. I think Matthew Hurt was a better shooter, but Filipowski's physically stronger. He's more athletic, and he can rebound the ball, and I just feel like he's a better all-around player. Actually, Kyle Filipowski is actually rated higher this year, right now, in the 2024 NBA mock than he was this year, which I find it interesting, but I'm not surprised because this kid, he's ready to play right now. And I don't think
double hip surgery.
But I don't think anything is going to set him back. I don't think he necessarily needs to go out and dominate, but kind of, I think what they sent him back to college for was to up his 3-point percentage. And I think if you see him up his 3-point percentage and, him continue to play the way he does, I'm not surprised if he's taken the lottery. I would be surprised if he fell down the draft ladder. But I think this kid's ready to go right away.
I would love to see him block maybe a shot or two.
Yeah, that's just added benefit. I mean, he's long, yeah, absolutely. But no, he's ready to go. I'll vouch for him for that. I've seen him play. He's ready to go. He was ready even in high school for Duke his senior year. Like you could tell, he's just physically stronger and more athletic than most forwards he's going to play. I mean,
if Kyle Filipowski is sitting on the bench back 2 years ago,
yeah,
2 years ago, how much does Wilbraham Munson beat Pope Francis by?
If Kyle Filipowski, well, Wilbraham Munson had his brother.
How good was his brother?
His brother's like 7'1". I mean, he had a good post game, and he barely had to jump to dunk the ball.
So you're saying our center on Pope Francis couldn't have handled it?
Oh yeah, I would have gotten dunked on. I mean, I would have done my best, but I would have gotten dunked on. Are you kidding me? I'm 6'4". I would have gotten dunked on, and that's generous 6'4".
So
I mean,
over 25 points.
who? Him on me?
No, they would have beat you guys by over 25.
Probably, yeah. But I mean, I don't know. It's a tough judge because we played Windsor and they had a couple of kids go D1 and we lost I think by like 17. So, but they didn't have anybody with the length that Wilbraham and Munson did.
Yeah.
I mean, Wilbraham and Munson was Filipowski twins are just long.
Yeah.
So they're going to block your shot no matter from where you shoot it. And then they had a forward who I think went to the Ivy League. I think Princeton. So I mean they were loaded. I mean, we would have been competitive, but could I have guarded Kyle Filipowski? Absolutely not. I would have been embarrassed. I probably would have had better luck on his brother, but I would have been embarrassed to, if I had to guard Kyle Filipowski. He would have dropped me and dunked on me, just like his brother probably would have. But I would have held my own. I like to say that. Maybe a solid like 8 and 8 for me.
Yeah, I mean, you could have got him in foul trouble.
Yeah, I just threw all the pump fakes I had and got him in foul trouble. So maybe 10 and 10. We'll go 10 and 10.
Yeah. All right, so we'll save our Duke preview.
You got that circled.
It goes along with, I guess, not the Boeheim thing so much, but we're talking about coaches, and so I told you to talk a little bit about the leash on a coach in the NIL transfer portal era, and how, and not necessarily a big name coach, like a John Shire, who, I mean, at Duke, it's going to be hard for him to have a terrible season anyways. It's very unlikely that John Shire only wins 15 games. Just he'd have to be like the worst coach ever. But when you take these guys at, like a Frank Martin, right? Someone that's at this kind of mid-major-ish program, how much time do you give a coach to really develop and work? Because that first year, right, when the coach comes in, those guys aren't his players. He hasn't recruited anybody.
Yeah.
And then you recruit, but you also aren't going to get all your recruits that second year. And then you still have some guys previously left over. So, it takes maybe 4 years to really have your guys and your system into place.
Yeah, I think you had it spot on, about 4 years, because your first year you're getting everybody basically acclimated to your system, and then before the second year, you see guys funnel out, which we did, for using UMass as an example, and Frank Martin's basically got all his guys in there, and then they're gonna have they're gonna win a couple more games than they did last year. Maybe not. I mean, I don't know. Depending the way the Atlantic 10 plays out, yeah, they win out. They're an NCAA tournament team. But I don't think this year, say they win, 19, 20 games this year, the sky's only the limit, because then your third year, you're comfortable with each other, and then you maybe add one or two pieces, and by your fourth year, you're ready to go. So I think 4 years is reasonable. I mean, if it's, getting to 4 years and you still can't win any games, we saw that with Frank Martin's predecessor, Matt McCall, who just couldn't win at UMass. He had a lot of problems. He could never get his players, the guys that he wanted. Nobody ever bought in. And I think you have to find the right coach who's going to get your respect from the players, but also is involved enough that he can ask the players their opinion and kind of ride the wave with them. So I think, I'm not going to single out somebody, but I don't know how Nebraska hasn't fired Fred Hoiberg yet. He's 40 and 83 in at least 4 years. And there's no sign of trending upward. So it's like, I don't know if everybody has their different system of judgment, but I just don't know, as a university, I guess, what expectations do you have besides, winning and coming close to making a tournament,
Side note, something I've thought, we might have even talked about it, but something I've thought about. Let's say, so what's good? Like, is Does an AD have the right to fire you and move on after 4 years if you haven't made the NCAA tournament?
Yes. Yeah, I, I think so. I mean, obviously, when an AD hires a coach, the expectations lined out. So, I mean, it depends. If you're at Kentucky, you're going to be fired in 3 years if you don't win. But if you're somewhere like Miami, Ohio, or VCU, it may take a little bit more time, but the in today's college basketball world, the expectation is that in at least 4 or 5 years you can build, if not close to, a winning team. But yeah, I'd say 4 years is is fireable if you hadn't made an NCAA tournament. I honestly think most coaches, would agree with you too.
I'm glad you mentioned Kentucky because that's where my side note was going. Uh, if if John Calipari does it, if Kentucky doesn't make it past the first weekend of the tournament this year, dare I say next year as well, right? He's got this. He was able to get some transfers this year. He's got another good recruiting class. They weren't really happy with him last year. If somehow he gets knocked out before the Sweet 16 the next 2 years, two-part question. Do they move on? And does UMass come calling?
Your first part is easier because Calipari has a lifetime contract from Kentucky, so he can step away anytime he wants. I'm sure that if he doesn't make it past the first weekend, I'm sure that conversation will be had to maybe think about it. So he's got a lifetime contract. He's there, when he wants. He's going to, at least the thought is that, he's going to transfer into a team ambassador after. So that was, easier first question. I don't even think John Calipari would go to UMass. He's set for life.
That's why I think he'd go to UMass. I think he's going to finish off his career at UMass.
See, but then that'd be incredibly crappy of UMass to fire Frank Martin. Especially if he's having success. Now, if he's not having success, that's a different story. But I mean, I feel like it'd be pretty crappy if they just wanted to fire him to hire Coach Cal. Because I don't feel like UMass is Frank Martin's last stop either.
Yeah.
So I don't know, that's tricky. I don't think he'll come back to UMass. I don't foresee that. Just because of resources, and obviously it's a huge step down from Kentucky, and he's set at Kentucky for life. So I think John Calipari would have to actually, that would have to be a him choice, not a UMass choice.
That's, I don't know. Something in me has always said, maybe it's being from Massachusetts. There's something in me that thinks that, his legacy at UMass wouldn't sit right with him. But maybe he doesn't even, maybe that never crosses his mind.
Yeah, I just don't know in today's day and age that he'd even get. I don't know, because, what if he's still at UMass? Are we getting Dajuan Wagner and, Oscar Sheboy and Anthony Davis and, I can't believe I'm saying Michael Kidd Gilchrist, because those guys were John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins,
And then in 10 years, they'll dig up that something was happening and UMass can get more stuff taken away from them.
In 10 years, I don't even know somebody's kid is going to be like, maybe Wiley. Wiley will be recruited by John Calipari to go to UMass.
We can hope.
You'd be like, no, you're doing track.
Well, we've been pushing the Duke thing.
Come on, if he's UNC, you have to let him be UNC.
Anyone can get into UNC. He probably shouldn't even go to school anymore. You just apply now.
Or what if he goes the Tennessee route? Because right
Oh,
now they have the leg up. So
that's why I wish they had played in the ACC SEC challenge.
so because you just want to be even. Because now that your wife has the leg up, she's always going to be like Duke's a loser because we beat them.
It's moving on. Um, yeah, no, the coaching carousel is always interesting me a little bit, just because it's the whole landscape of like, we've already kind of touched upon this a little bit, but the landscape of like college basketball, college sports as a business is interesting. And so the podcast I listened to with Phil Pawski is I listened to a couple other ones because Ryan Young is the host of it, and he was interviewing. Oh
I
no
didn't know he
no
was coming back for another year.
yeah, this other podcast I listened to interviewed Ryan Young about the podcast that he's doing, and they're asking him about some NIL stuff,
Hmm.
and he was kind of vague about it, and saying, I'm making some, which is nice, and the other guys are making a lot more, but he was like, but you hear about these football players making $1 million and stuff like that. He's like, I don't think any of the guys on our team are making that much money, but he's just kind of vague about like the whole process of how it goes about and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's just interesting to think about, almost like does a guy get does a freshman come in who thinks he's one and done, and he's scores 8 points, 3 assists or something like that, and he's not going to be able to get to the league. He's going to have to go G League route, or he's going to come back. But the team has now recruited in, another 5-star player, and this guy is now kind of being
The odd man out.
forced out, and yeah, it's just very. I guess from a running background and everything, it's just interesting to think about the like you. And I guess not having the talent of like a 5-star freshman, you would think that you'd want to develop a player, right? You'd think that you'd want to have this guy stick all 4 years, but I don't know. It's just like there's a lack of loyalty, but there's also this like win now situation, right? If Cooper Flagg is somehow able to come to college this season.
Well, he's
right?
one and done.
Yeah, but let's say he's like somehow I worked it out. I don't even have to wait till 2024. I'm coming 2023, and he comes, and now this guy that thinks he's going to play at some school, all of a sudden can't play because this new kid a month before season, 2 months before season's like I'm going to go to college now and play, and it's just, but the coach is doing that partially because he's and I guess. I felt it. I guess just be a good discussion to have in the future. I felt this a little bit in track and cross country, but it was more a jealousy may not be the right word, but a jealousy type thing. Where with your teammates, right, you had guys that were faster than you.
Yeah.
It didn't really matter that much because I was fast enough to be varsity, which was top 7. So I was still good enough to be top 7. But there was guys ahead of me that I wanted to be better than, that I was mad that they were better than me. But in a basketball situation, I guess it's I would be curious to learn and also to hear your insights on the dynamic when it comes to playing time, right? When you're whether you're playing high school basketball, whether you're playing D3 basketball, you're playing UMass, or you're playing really this high quality Tennessee, UConn, Duke type basketball, and the what goes into the fact that you're playing 5 minutes a game, and someone's playing 25 minutes a game, and you feel like you're better than that person.
Yeah.
What does that do to the team chemistry when you are, you're a guy that. So again, going back to a Duke, right? Everyone that's 90% of people that step foot on Duke's court think they can go to the NBA.
Yeah.
But some of those guys are going to get 7 minutes a game.
Yep.
And how do you deal with that?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's half. I think half of it's politics because there's either something. You see it more as you go into the Division II, Division III level, but the coach has had somebody play for them for like 3 years, and then that's just they just feel comfortable sticking with their guy. But for a player, knowing that you're better than somebody else and that you should be on the floor instead, from my own experience, it's a pretty crappy feeling because, you've got a front row seat to it. You're right in front of it, and you're like, really? I'm sure a lot of people who have been put in that position, like Christian Reeves, where he came to Duke, he's supposed to be the starting center, and then Derek Lively commits, and, he's got a front row seat to watching Derek Lively play. And, is Christian Reeves better than some of the guys who played last year? I don't know, because we haven't seen him. But in his mind, because every player, is like, comes in with the mindset that, yeah, I'm going to be better than everybody who plays. But it only hurts team chemistry if you let it as a player. It's not easy as a player to watch other people who, in your mind, that you view that you're better than, or in actual reality you are better than. It's hard to watch them from the sideline knowing that you can make a bigger difference than they can. But it doesn't affect team chemistry until you let it. So it all depends on your ego and your attitude. Because, it's so true what I found out that no matter what player you are, there's probably 40 more copies of you all over the world. And you have to produce. And if you're not producing, you're switched out, for that person who can produce. So, yeah, you can only average 8 points, but if you play a crucial role of the team and you can produce consistently, then yeah, you're still going to be there at the end of the year while everybody else funnels out.
Yeah, and I think it's tough on like the high low D1 because you hear about all these guys that have, they're right. If you played college sports at all,
Yeah.
you were probably one of the best people in your high school and in your city and maybe even in your state.
Yep.
Because not that many people play college sports.
Mm.
So you've had people your whole life tell you that, oh, you're really good at this thing.
Yeah.
And then then you go and you're told
You meet 20 other kids who are really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely humbling if you're one of those guys, at the end of the bench. It's humbling, when you're sitting there. But I think, again, every kid is competitive. And you realize at the end of the day that you're given an opportunity, to come in every day and play college sports. And it's amazing. I view it simple like this. If you don't like it, then transfer. Because there's going to be somewhere for you to play. It always amazes me because, let's be real. Duke's last kid on the bench can probably tear it up at somewhere like a Bryant or a Rhode Island or a Wyoming or a Nevada. They're just not going to go there because it's Duke, and they were recruited to Duke. But everybody can play. There's a place to play for everybody. It's just a matter of finding your fit. Because there's not, that guy at Duke who averages 8 and 3. I'm sure there's going to be at least 20 other programs that are calling his name if he decides to transfer. Because when you enroll in the draft, you don't have to come back to your college. You can leave to go somewhere else.
Yeah. All right. Let's play a quick little game.
Oh, boy.
Let's go back to Dickie B's top 25 that you're not looking at, right?
No, I'm not. I'm not looking.
see if you can predict Dickie B's top 10 without getting. I'll let you get two wrong.
Two wrong.
On the third one, your game's over. You don't have to do an order.
All right. That's easier in order. Okay. I have to think of my top 10 from last year. You're putting me on the spot here. Okay. Top 10 from last year. Who are the ones?
One of them surprises me a little bit. He has one team in the top 5 that surprises me a little bit.
One seeds were. Oh, I look so bad right now. Purdue's not in the top 25. I know that. Purdue's not in it. Who's the other one seed? Houston? I don't think so. Alabama. Kentucky's in it. Kentucky's in it. I'm pretty sure I last saw them in it.
In his
Top
top 10?
Yes.
Kentucky is not in his top 10. They are 13.
Are you serious?
That's one wrong.
You're only giving me 2 for the whole thing?
You only have to say 10 things.
Yeah, you know how many teams there are?
Yeah,
Okay.
but some of them are pretty obvious.
No. Don't even say that. Don't even say that because Kansas is in there.
Yep, Kansas is number 1.
Kansas is number 1. Okay. You're not even giving me a list here to look at of last year's NCAA tournament teams. Okay, Kansas is number 1. Who were the 2 seeds last year? Marquette's not in it. I don't even know who they have this year. Michigan State, no. Kansas. This could be the end of my game right here. Is Duke in it?
Duke's number 2.
Okay. Are you kidding me? Holy moly. Okay, Duke's number 2. Let's see. Let's go Big 10 here. Big 10? I don't even know. Kansas, Duke. Oh, I'm really struggling here. Kansas, Duke. Can you allow me to look up a list of teams that made the NCAA tournament last season?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Because. All right. Tournament teams 2022. Okay. All right. By seed. Well, great. Yeah, this will help. This blows. Oh man. Okay.
I tell you, you have one more pretty obvious one.
I don't even know. Oh, stupid ad. Texas? My game's over. It's not Texas. My game's over.
He has Texas at 23.
My game's over. Is Gonzaga in it?
He has Gonzaga at number 9. I bet
give me-
you probably do better now the pressure's off.
Yeah, give me a. Yeah, probably. Is.
Toss me out a team.
I want to say this. I'm gonna toss you out Villanova. They're definitely top 15. I feel.
He's got Villanova at 18.
UCLA, but UCLA is nobody. They're definitely not even in it. I don't. Texas. He's not even gonna put Texas A&M in his top 10.
No, they're down.
Who's his top 10?
So he's got Kansas and Duke.
Yeah.
He's got at number 3 Purdue.
Why?
Well, Dickie B's kind of a homer. I feel like his rankings aren't as accurate as other people.
Seriously?
Number 4. This was one that surprised me. He's got Michigan State at 4.
Do they have everybody coming back? That wouldn't surprise me. If they added and have everybody coming back, let me see. Let me look up the roster. You can keep going, but
I mean, they're gonna lose to Duke, but he's got UConn at 5.
yeah. Okay, yeah. I should.
Marquette at 6.
Yeah.
Houston at 7.
Mm-hmm.
Creighton at 8. Which I feel like I don't think Creighton will finish in the top 10.
Oh no, I back to your point. I see Michigan State in the top 5. Top 5. They got a good squad. All right, go ahead.
Got Gonzaga at 9 and Tennessee at 10.
Yeah, I did abysmal. Jeez, I didn't even
Got
get 3 teams.
he's got USC down at 20. He's got North Carolina and Miami at 15 and 16.
Is there anybody outrageously?
He's got San Diego State at 19, which isn't crazy,
Oh, really?
but St. Mary's he's got 22.
Yeah.
Colorado he's got 24.
Hmm.
I mean,
Really?
I think Kansas is by far on paper, the best team.
I'm surprised he has FAU so high. I don't know. I'm not buying it. I don't know. I'm not buying the hype this year. I don't think they're a top 10 team.
No, and I think what might hurt them, and I'd have to look at their schedule, would be a similar thing to the Gonzaga of the past.
Yeah.
Of maybe you return a team that can do well, but how battle tested are you really going into the tournament?
I think they might be this year's North Carolina. I mean, I don't know. I don't see it. I think they got hot. Excuse me. I think they got hot at the right time. And they may be this year's North Carolina. UNC FAU joined at the hip.
All
Dude,
right.
we'll see.
So next week we will do. All right. So for next week, we're gonna do our own top 25.
Oh, great. I can't wait for this. Duke. Don't even ask. Not in it. I'm just kidding. You're going to put Duke at number 1 just because you're biased.
Oh, they are saying that Jared McCain is looking real good.
Is Jared McCain going to be a one and done? Because he's not even projected a top 13 pick.
I think he will be. I think he's going to have a good enough year.
Here's your quiz. Ready? Who's the first projected Blue Devil to be off the board in next year's lottery?
It's not. Is it not Flip?
I'm not telling you.
I mean, I know. I haven't looked at mock drafts in a while. I know that Tyrese Proctor had sort of moved up. I know last year he wasn't projected, but in the far away drafts that were predicting this year, last year, they had thought that he was going to be top 20. But I can't see any of the new freshmen, like you got McCain, Foster, Stewart. I don't see, Jeremy Roach isn't going to be higher than that. Mark Mitchell's not going to be higher than that. So it's got to be Filipowski.
Tyrese Proctor, number 6.
Wow. I love Tyrese Proctor. I love it. I think his game transfers really well to the NBA.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I'll agree with you there.
He went through the NBA developmental program, and he played for national teams in Australia already.
Yeah. Yeah. Tyrese Proctor, number 6, could move up.
Yeah, I could see McCain leave, but see what I think what Duke is hoping for is that Proctor and Roach do leave, and then you have McCain and Foster coming off the bench this year, and then they move right in. Whereas if this had been 2 years ago, those guys are going to go one and done. So we'll see, because I like. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I like when Duke doesn't get the guy. Like Duke just lost out on. Let me look at his name. They just lost out on this center to Kansas, Flory Bidalga. But Duke was also looking at another 5-star center to come in for next year's class that they're on the low board for, and I don't know, like it's like you said, Christian Reeves, right? So, do I want this guy, Floyd Bidonga, who maybe is going to be one and done,
Yeah.
or do I want a junior and senior year of Christian Reeves?
You don't. Chris Livingston made him look better than he was, but
Well, but like sometimes I think with a guy like Christian Reeves is so like going back to the Tennessee game, especially at the center spot, is obviously you want a talented player, but you want a guy with some meat on him.
yeah,
And a junior Christian Reeves is probably going to be really strong,
yeah,
like really bulky. He's going to know how to put the ball in the hoop, and like by the time you get to the Final Four, I would probably take the more talented player. But
yeah.
in the regular season, I would probably take the 21-year-old over the 18-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Because you look at some of these guys that have been, I mean, you look at Drew Timme. Some guy that has just like, and I'd have to go back and look at stats. Maybe he was good as a freshman, but
Yeah.
like you look at freshman Drew Timme.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, like he's probably not like
Yeah.
it's a guy that has learned how to play over the years, and just other guys out there who by the time they get junior and senior year are just like a Mark Williams, who went like 10th or somewhere around 10th in the draft.
Yeah, 10 to 15. Yeah.
Was played competitive with Armando Bacot, but
Yeah.
I would say Armando Bacot was the better player.
Yeah.
And now Armando Bacot isn't leaving because he knows he's not even going to get drafted, or at least he's not going to go in the first round.
Yeah, I didn't even know what his ranking is.
But in the regular season, you'd rather
Yeah.
have Armando Bacot.
He's good at the college level, but I don't
Yeah.
know how his game's going to translate to the NBA level.
Same thing as like Shibwe, right? Like you're not going to draft Shibwe, but if you were like, okay, do I want Mark Mitchell or do I want Oscar Shibwe? Well, give me Oscar Shibwe.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right, we'll see how our top 20. So next week we'll do
All right, I'm gonna have to prepare for that one.
we'll do top 25.
Okay.
But we'll also do a surprise team, and so the surprise team can be in your top 25.
Okay.
But a team that you think other people might be overlooking a little bit.
Okay. All right, that sounds good.
All right.
All right.
Wiley and I are going fishing.
All right, have fun. We'll see. Catch something though. Don't let it be an empty trip.
No. Well, if we have to go to Stop and Shop and buy something,
There you go.
we'll come home with a fish.
Don't give him the bait though, because when he opens it and realizes it's worms, he's gonna throw it all in the river because he's scared.
All right. Well, hopefully this works.
Uploads. Yeah,
We
I know.
didn't
Fingers
talk about
crossed, right?
All right. And I'm gonna also work on YouTube Shorts this week. I'm gonna figure out if I can
Oh, okay.
see how
All
to
right.
do YouTube Shorts.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Well, to our viewers,
See you next time.
see you next time for episode 4.